Today, I wanted to go to the wall and look at our defensive line for the Buffalo Bills. And we're going to start out with Mr. Tim Settle, the Penguin. And Tim joined the team from Washington a couple years back and really is starting to get into his own playing defensive line. He is one of the nicest and funnest guys, and we enjoy listening to his music. Another Day, Another Time. I love that music, Tim Settle. And unfortunately, he may not be on the team next year because he is a free agent, which is one of the problems with the Buffalo Bills right now, is we had a really good defensive line last year, in my opinion, especially at the start of the season. But the head coach, not only has the head coach of the defensive line, not only has the coach of the defensive line decided to leave and go to Chicago, but a lot of the defensive linemen are free agents this year as their contract has ended. So we'll see what happens with Tim Settle. We'll also see what happens with Mr. Shaq Lawson. Shaq Lawson, one of the nicest guys on the team, too. Shaq is a fantastic guy. And I love it when he gets a sack and he does the high step on the field. And should go back to Tim, too. I love it when he does the penguin dance. So Shaq, he always comes over and talks to us, as does Tim. These two guys are just great guys. And then we got Jordan Phillips over here. Jordan Phillips came back to the team last year and is always trying to get the crowd pumped up. And, when he's injured, he brought his little girls out onto the field in the pregame. And you can tell Jordan's just a great father. And his kids are adorable. And, Jordan Phillips, he comes over and says hi, too. And the defensive linemen are probably the best unit for coming over and spending time with fans. And then we've got Poona Ford down here. Poona was on the team this year, and he's a free agent as well, as is Jordan. And Poona, I think he thought he was going to get a lot more playing time. Probably disappointed with the amount of playing time he got this year, as he was a healthy scratch for a lot of games. I thought his best play of the year was when he threw a block on the punt return, took out the punter, and let Hardy run for that touchdown. So, I really like Poona Ford. He's a bit of the shy guy, but you can see that he is a very nice guy. He's got a great smile, too. I wish he would smile more. And then we've got Cameron Klein down here. Cameron Klein was on the practice squad last year. The preseason games, he had fantastic games in the preseason. So hopefully after a year on the practice squad, we can see some great plays during the season from Cameron Klein, which is sort of what Kingsley Jonathan did. Kingsley Jonathan was on our practice squad. And last year he got some games in, actually played for the Bears for a couple of games. And then this year he got a lot of playing time. And Kingsley Jonathan played at Syracuse. And another nice guy comes over and signs autographs before every game for the fans. We'll go up here. No, there's no. There we got Daquan Jones. Daquan Jones played at Penn State. He is a bad man. And I tell him that before every game. He's a free agent too. How many defensive linemen are we going to have to try to sign this year? This is the cornerstone. We need to bring Daquan Jones back to the Buffalo Bills for this year. You can tell the major difference when he got injured. And he just brings so much to the team. I enjoyed it when I gave him that Penn State Funko Pop this year. And I think it meant a lot to him to actually receive something from a fan instead of us always asking for something from him. We've got Ankou down here. And this is one of my wife's favorite players, along with Saran Neal. And Ellie is involved with the charity to help Native American people, actually in Canada, but Indians. As, I don't really want to spend a lot of time trying to explain it. He did do a special on ESPN, I think, or the NFL Network that shows about it. But, there's a lot of indigenous women that are murdered, or things happen to them, they disappear, and people don't really have the time to go look for them for some reason. So that's it in a roundup, but I invite you to look more into that. Greg Rousseau, Groot. Thankfully, Groot is still under contract and will be back next year. Good to have somebody know we're coming back. But Greg Rousseau, what a physical specimen. Had the chance to talk to him a little bit at training camp and before games, but at training camp he called me over and signed this picture for me. Went to that signing in Buffalo and had him sign another picture for me and gave him the Miami Hurricane Funko Pop, which I think he liked that. Leonard Floyd, got to talk to him at training camp. Didn't know he was going to be a 10-plus sack guy for us this year. What a season he had. It was a one-year contract, though. So another guy we're not sure on the defensive line is going to be able to come back next year. He's being very truthful. He wants to play for money. Whoever pays him the most, I think he said, is where he'll play next year. I think Von Miller was a major reason that Leonard Floyd was on the team last year. So any bashers of Von Miller realize he did help us bring Leonard Floyd to the team. I asked him about that during that training camp game or preseason training camp, and he's told me that Von Miller was a major reason and heavily recruited him. So, Leonard Floyd, what a great season he had for the Buffalo Bills. I'm praying that somehow Brandon Beane can make some miracles happen and get some of these defensive linemen back. And another guy that is coming back, Ed Oliver. Probably, I'm going to proclaim him our MVP on defense last year. I think he had a fantastic season. He's really growing into his own. He signed a big contract in the offseason, so a lot of people were wondering, sometimes those big contracts, players don't play as well after those, but he stepped it up. He had a great season, and I expect even bigger and better things out of him, although they're going to be double teaming and triple teaming if we can't get some other defensive linemen in there. So I know Ed would hope that we can do that. Now end here with Mr. Von Miller. And Von was having a great season last year when on Thanksgiving he tore his ACL on the AstroTurf in Detroit. And this year I could tell, he just wasn't getting the low leverage wearing that knee brace as he was before. I think now that he has an off season to just get that knee completely better, that he is going to have another Hall of Fame season this year. This is a Hall of Fame player. He is going to be in the Hall of Fame, Von Miller. So any Bills fan that complains about him being on the team, whatever. Von Miller's just a great guy, and appreciated him helping me by giving me one of those Triple V masks before the season, or before the playoff game when it was so cold out there. He took care of me. So, our defensive line, Brandon Beane. What are you going to do, Brandon? There's a lot of work to be done. There's only a couple guys coming back. Good luck, man. I hope you have a great offseason. I'm dependent on you, Brandon. You may have to draft a couple. You may have to find somebody, but hopefully you can bring back Daquan Jones and Leonard Floyd and maybe a couple of other guys, Jordan Phillips. Heck, bring them all back if you can. Shaq, Lawson, Tim Settle. I loved all these guys on the defensive line. I loved Coach Washington too, but unfortunately, again, he's gone to Washington. But it's in Brandon Beane's court right now. It's where he makes the money. That's why he's the big baller. Let's see what he can do. But with that, I remind you, go Bills, and God loves you, and so do I.